We wanted to respond in the most Minnesotan way. What Trump was trying to do was trying to divide us and attack our community. Trump is very unpopular. He has not been able to do or deliver any of the promises that he made on his agenda.
We are sick and tired of the president waking up one day and deciding to put forth falsehoods and demonize whole communities, while the ignorant people that support him then take the lies that he's spreading and use it as a fact.
President Trump about Somalis living in Minnesota.
The president posted on Truth Social, quote, "I am, as president of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from."
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so right now everybody on the internet is talking about Somalis, and especially because of the unexpected news that broke out that Somalis were abusing the system in America. In today's episode, you're going to be talking about Somalis in Minnesota who are going to be clapping back at Trump. Right, and the biggest question you're asking today, guys, is was Trump wrong in targeting every Somali in Minnesota, or do you support him targeting Somalis in Minnesota as a way of teaching the community a lesson after they abused the system allegedly? Right. Let's watch this video and then you come back and talk about it. You can also let us know what you think about this in the comment section, and consider subscribing if you're new to our channel. Let's watch.
Hey, what's up, America? 78 people arrested in Minnesota for a Feeding Our Future charity fraud scam. But not just anybody arrested. 78 Somalians arrested in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the surrounding area for basically just stealing funds for a food program. So in Minnesota, there was a Feeding Our Future food program that was supposed to go to feed poor people throughout Minneapolis and greater Minnesota. Unfortunately, around $250 million of charity money was stolen by 78 Somalians. These Somalians were pretending to give meals to family and kids throughout Minnesota. Unfortunately, they were pocketing the money and buying real estate. The latest or 78th man that was arrested was pretending to give 6,000 meals out a day, but he was just simply lying, pocketing the money, and bought $1.2 million worth of property. This same exact thing happened with 77 other people being arrested, all doing the same shit, pretending they were giving meals out and then just pocketing the money and buying cars and property and vacations and sending money back to Somalia, which more than likely ended up in the hands of terrorist organizations. And that money all came in from good Minnesotans and people throughout the country to feed people that were impoverished. But
Trump is coming after Somalis in Minnesota, terminating TPS protection and stating Minnesota is being terrorized by Somali gangs. Send them back home. Yeah. Governor of Minnesota, he fired back. Ilhan Omar fired back. Republicans cheering. What? What is this? Because there's only 700 Somalis that have TPS. Majority of Somalis, they're US citizens. They're green card holders. They're refugees from the 90s. They have built communities, businesses, neighborhoods. What is he talking about? Why is he framing it like the whole Somali population depends on his TPS? This is called drama, theater, better headline. Yeah. So, what is the intention behind this drama?
We wanted to respond in the most Minnesotan way, and one of the best ways we thought about it was to do a potluck. It brings community, because what Trump was trying to do was trying to divide us and attack our community, our Somali community here in Minnesota. But what we know is that it was all distraction. Trump is very unpopular. He has not been able to do or deliver any of the promises that he made on his agenda. But in fact, what he did was to gave the largest tax cut to billionaires. So that's the real issue. The issue is Trump is not delivering for Minnesotans, for Americans across the country. So we wanted to respond and showcase that this is a distraction, And Minnesotans, regardless of where we live and who we are, we know what Trump is doing. It is a distraction, and you will never be able to pit us against each other.
In this country, we do not blame the lawlessness of an individual on a whole community. What we also know is that there is not a single evidence that the president or his coolies have put forth that there are any single resource from taxpayers in Minnesota that has gone to aid and abate terrorism. That language is dangerous. That language puts the lives of Somalis not only in Minnesota, but across the country in danger. And if the president believed that and he had evidence, he would take people to court.
Ilhan Omar is big mad. She's not talking with all that arrogance today. The largest welfare fraud scandal in all of America's history has happened in her district, Minnesota. So during that Democratic shutdown, the Republicans were working. Allegedly, the Somali community funneled fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia that goes into the accounts of Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda terrorist group. So President Trump terminates the temporary migrant status for all Somalians. So let's talk about it. Allegedly, the Somalians found a way to exploit the HSS program of Minnesota. These funds were designated to autism, addicts, seniors, and those that needed help with housing. Word on the street, this program was ran loosely. Somali children are overly diagnosed with autism. They are enrolled in expensive social services programs. And then these inflated autism claims are submitted to Medicaid. I would say this is unbelievable, but this is happening in California as well. Within 4 years, the HSS program of Minnesota has increased from $3 million to $400 million.
Trump is scapegoating a tiny piece of the population, some of the most vulnerable people in our country. But Trump based his order on a report whose author has made it clear that his goal is to denaturalize and deport as many Somali Americans as possible. This is not about crime. It's not about safety. This is about purging people like me from this country. Minnesota has always been a welcoming place for people fleeing a home country that is blasted by war, poverty, and hunger. Europeans in the 19th and 20th century, Black Americans from the South, Hmong and Vietnamese, Liberians and East Africans and Latin Americans. This embrace of new culture is one of our greatest strengths. The first generation came here as immigrants, the second as Americans. They are our teachers, nurses, blue-collar workers, small business owners, and public servants. Donald Trump wants to make Americans hate each other over race and religion. That might play well on Truth Social or Fox News, but it's not going to work here in real life. Minnesotans know better. We care about our neighbors. We live and work alongside each other. Our kids go to the same schools. We shovel each other's cars out of snow. We are not afraid of each other, and we are not afraid of Donald Trump. He will lose this fight in court, and we will show his effort to divide us only brings us closer together and make us stronger.
Trump is about to deport hundreds of Somali Americans right now. I'm gonna break it down for you. So on November 21st, Trump announced via Truth Social that he's terminating TPS for Somalis in Minnesota. And the reason he's doing this is because he has accused the Minnesota Somali community of fraud and money laundering. But as of now, he has offered no public verified proof of that. According to the congressional data, around 705 of them being Somali-born people in the US currently benefit from TPS. And the DHS actually extended and redesignated Somalis TPS status on July 22nd, 2024 into March 2026. Legal experts argue that Trump does not have legal authority to unilaterally revoke TPS designated by law, especially for a particular group in one state. Civil rights groups are calling that this is politically motivated and discriminatory, and courts are likely to step in.
President Trump claimed without evidence that Somali gangs are terrorizing Minnesotans. Trump made the announcement on Friday. He wrote on his Truth Social platform that he was terminating effective immediately the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. The TPS is a federal program allowing migrants from unstable countries to live and work legally in the U.S. If ended, more than 700 Somalis in the U.S., majority of whom live in Minnesota, would be impacted. Protesters rallied over the weekend to speak out against the president's post.
We know what our president has done. It is an attack on our community.
And now some Minnesotans are voicing outrage.
A new, stunning report from the City Journal showing a massive fraud scheme in Minnesota. You have to hear about this. It involves false autism claims, the Somali community, and connections to a terror group. Let's explain over at The Wall. Now, it all revolves around autism and HSS program. That is Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services. Now, this was created to help seniors, addicts, and others find housing, but the criteria to enter this program was incredibly loose and therefore easy to take advantage of. It's led to fraud and costs absolutely exploding. Just 5 years ago, in 2020, costs for this program were $2.6 million. 4 years later, by 2024, cost had been over $100 million, 104. Through the first 6 months of this year, costs are at $61 million, meaning if you double that over the entirety of the year, you're looking at $122 million. In 5 years, from $2 million to $122 million. Now, why? 6 people are accused of defrauding HSS, and they're members of the Somali community. But this just gets worse if we take a look at Minnesota's federally funded autism program. Now, several people, and this is an example, a woman in the Somali community, are co-conspirators, and they're accused of recruiting kids for autism therapy. They brought in families, had them convinced to get their kids diagnosed as autistic. In fact, these families ultimately ended up having various social services bid for their children, competing with the number size of check that they would get. It didn't matter if the kids had autism. And what happened? Autism claims to Medicaid surged. In 2018, $3 million. By 2023, listen here, from $3 million to $400 million. Autism providers jumped from 41 to 328 in 5 years. Now, City Journal reports that the Somali fraud rings send a lot of money back to Somalia. 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad. That totals $1.7 billion. That is more than the entire budget of the Somali government. Money being sent abroad, from abroad, back to Somalia. Where is that money going? Take a look at this. Most alarmingly, a lot of that money is funneled through money traders, and in the end, ends up in the hands of al-Qaeda-linked Islamic terror group Al-Shabaab. So to bring this full circle, the Minnesota taxpayers are funneling money through fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia, where that money lands in the accounts of Al-Shabaab.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about the episode we just played here. I have to be very, very honest. According to the experiences we've had here in Kenya, I can say a lot of the Somalis, especially the ones who've been born in Kenya, the Kenyan Somalis, they are good people, but there's a group of Somalis who are dishonest in their way, and we've experienced that in Kenya, especially the crop that come from Somalia. So there's 2 categories. There's the Kenyan Somalis who have grassroots in Kenya, and there's those ones who migrate into the country. And I have to say that when I heard about marriage fraud and overstayed visas, especially marriage fraud, that is not something I'm hearing about in the Somali community. It's not the first time I'm hearing about this, right? Because it was alleged that, and guys, I think it's important to note the word alleged, that even Ilan Omar herself had committed marriage fraud. Really? Yeah, in order to take her husband to America, who
turned out to be her relative.
Oh my God. But this whole thing is very messy, and my sympathy goes really out to the genuine Somalis who deal in genuine ways, you know.
Right.
But the rotten apples are threatening to disrupt the lives of those ones who are living in a genuine matter, because in such incidences, to be honest, people look at the community as
a collective.
Exactly. And that is what happened even to the Islams in England, you know, because a few of them are committing nefarious things. Everybody started treating all of them the same way, you know.
Right. And in this situation, I think I've noticed two important points that I'm going to mention. The first one is that for Trump to come out and say that the system was being abused, and they've even followed the money to some places like Kenya, some places in Africa like Kenya, where the money is being reinvested in. I do believe that they have sufficient evidence for them to be following up these allegations. And I do wish that the Somali community would come together and disown these people who do this, because I know they know that the people that are doing this are in their community, and they might even be friends with some of these people. The sad thing about this situation is that Somalis are here trying to cry of injustice, and none of them, at least from the clips that I've seen, none of them is denouncing this act that has been proven to be taking place in Minnesota, you know.
Right.
And then also another thing that I noticed was when Trump came out to say these allegations, he targeted everybody, even the innocent ones. So these are two wrong things that are happening, you know. Right now, everybody in Minnesota is feeling like a target, even the legal citizens who are doing things the right way, and which I feel like that is where the government is going wrong.
But, you know, in this situation, if you're saying they have proof and evidence, right, which I do believe to some degree, there has to be something small that proves the statement, because those were strong statements that were made by the president, yeah? But why is Ilhan coming in front and daring and challenging the president to come forward with evidence?
He's going to do.
Right, it's like she's speaking, it's like she's not aware that her people are doing this, which I'm wondering, is it that she's trying to save face, or does she genuinely believe that there's no single Somali who is committing such acts? Because when they talk about this money that they are stealing is being used into real estate development, it rang a bell.
It rang a bell because here in Kenya, there's a lot of Somalis who are involved in real estate. And could it be a coincidence that the community is being accused of not laundering but stealing money or taking advantage of the system and reinvesting back into Kenya? Because right now, real estate in Kenya is really booming. And especially a region in Kenya called Isili. Somalis
even Westlands, they have
even Westlands. Somalis have apartments there. They have apartments in Isili, and projects are coming up day by day like it's nothing.
Right, and we ask again, are all these things related?
If or so, it's just Trump blowing up smoke. Right. Because I do feel like where there is smoke, there's usually fire.
And another thing also that was mentioned in this video is the fact that autism has been characterized by the Somali, like the Somali kids or people in the Somali community are the ones being diagnosed with it a lot, which made me ask myself, is this like
genetic condition, or
was it a proven statistical fact, or was it something they were using to scam the system, yeah? Because in Kenya, I wasn't aware that the Somali community was
the largest number with autism.
We could have seen it, you know.
Right. And why I'm saying this situation is so tricky, it's so hard to know which group is telling the truth. Is it the president or is it the immigrants from the Somali community? Because we should also have to remember there was a time when Trump went after the Haitian community, and he said that the Haitian community were eating cats and dogs.
That's a good point to note.
And from the community, from the region in America where they were accused of doing this, people were coming out and they were saying this was an outright lie, right? So people are asking themselves,
where do you get your facts?
Right, is this true or is it false? Because he has been known to tell some other things that are not exactly factual.
Right, and right now in America, it's beginning to feel like nobody is really safe and people are sleeping, but they're becoming very worried, especially if you're not if you are not like a born citizen who has generations to track behind, who have been belonging to America. You have to be worried. If you're not Black American, if you're not a foundation traditional black American. If you're not a white person who's from America, then you have a lot of reasons to be afraid, you know.
Well, white people are not from America, but technically they say they are. So yeah, that's
right now they own the government. So that is why I'm saying.
And another big question is, are they afraid of other minorities owning the government? Like, say, Minnesota is just one of the biggest examples where immigrants have come and immigrants are slowly taking over the system, right? Like in Minnesota, we also had the 24-year-old Somali. I don't know if he is 24 years old, who became, what is it called? Yeah, you know, so
government official.
Right. So in Minnesota, a lot of Somalis are running the program there, you know.
And it's quite natural for people to get afraid.
Worried.
So were they targeted because they want to bring the community back? Or is it really true that they're really abusing the system, you know?
Right.
And another statement that was said that I want us to discuss. So if you're on our audience and you're watching from Minnesota, if you belong in that state, kindly tell us what's your relation with Somalis and what's your take on this topic, because they said that Somali gangs are terrorizing the people in that area. Is that factual? Do Somalis have gangs in Minnesota? You know, one thing I know about the Somali community, I have to say also, is that they really protect, especially those ones who go to foreign countries, they protect their source of income. So they can never do things out in the open, even if it's illegal, you know.
But never say never, because there was a case here in Kenya, not that you are relating Somalis in America with Somalis in Kenya, but I have to say the ones in Kenya who are immigrants to Kenya coming from Somalia. There was an incident in Kenya that went viral of a Somali who was pew-pewing a Kenyan citizen and had killed and had unalived the brother of that guy. And he went viral because Kenya doesn't have pew-pews, at least not on the record. People don't have pew-pews lying around. And this one just had one in the open doing whatever he was doing. So and this Kenyan guy was telling the public that the Kenyan police would be so reluctant to helping him because Somalis have money and they bribe the system.
Yeah, but you see, that was one isolated incident.
It doesn't usually happen often in
It doesn't
Kenya.
happen oftenly. That was like one isolated incident that happened once in a blue moon. You know, that is why I'm saying Somalis really, one thing also they know how to do is respect the country that hosts them, and they try and play. If they can be invisible in the criminal system, they really do that. They don't
the
they're
ones
not loud
here in Kenya.
The ones in Kenya, I'm talking about the ones in Kenya. They're not loud in committing crime. Rarely do you ever find them, you know, in scandals, things like that, you know. So I don't know, these Somali gangs that are being talked about in Minnesota, is it that
they might be maybe a different breed?
Right. But guys, let us know. We'd really like to hear from you. Do you really think that, as the Somalis say, they're being targeted? Because also let's remember, when a community is being targeted, it doesn't look like the way people would expect it to look like, you know.
Right.
What happened to the Latino community? They became many, so many in America, to the point where the system was threatened that they would one day take over. Could that have been the reason why they were softly and gently targeted and deported out of America? You never know. Maybe they're shaking up the economy in America, and you don't know. Maybe somebody noticed and they said they have to bring that. Those are a lot of maybes, you know.
So guys, let us know what you think about this episode. Also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.